Oh, hey everybody, Dustin DePirac here, columnist Jeremy Price. We decided to pull out a special Sunday version of Scoop Talk to discuss the commitment of Noah Vonleh. Obviously, we didn't get that one until about 12 o'clock at night last night, and I gotta say, thanks to Zach Osterman for being smart enough to look at his Twitter feed while we were all at Knicks last night. That was critical that he saw that at that time, and everybody sort of mobilized and ran the heck out and started feverishly calling Pete Hutchins. And also thanks, Pete Hutchins, for answering your phone at 12 o'clock at night on a Saturday. Much appreciated. But anyway, Noah Vonleh, top 10 recruit committed to Indiana late last night. He's a 6'9" power forward from New Hampton Prep in New Hampshire. He's originally from Haverhill, Massachusetts, and he can pretty much do everything. He's a 6'9" guy that has, can run the point. I think he runs the point some for that team. He definitely runs the point for his AAU team that we saw this summer in Indianapolis. Really just impressive player, top to bottom. And Jeremy, you saw him a little bit in Indy. Just what did you think about him when you saw him up there?
Yeah, what you like about him is his versatility and the fact that I'd be hard pressed to put a finger on one thing where he's particularly weak at.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the ability to handle the ball comfortably. He didn't shoot well the tournament we saw, but I think that was just tired legs as much as anything. But the form was good.
Yeah.
Rebounded well, not afraid to mix it up in the paint. And that's probably the thing I liked the most was his aggressiveness, his mindset, and being willing to mix it up in the paint, get on the glass, rebound, which a lot of guys with the ability to handle, the ability to shoot outside, sometimes are a little reluctant to get inside and mix it up. Yeah,
I mean, he's one of those guys. There's a lot of big guys who think they're point guards, and therefore that's what they try to do all the time. The physical nature of it is something that they don't even want to get into, and they say, oh, well, I can shoot threes, why should I have to? But he does do both. I mean, I think his coach at the time, the AAU coach, whose name I can't remember, the really loud dude from Mass Rivals, he was kind of awesome. Just said that there's no kink in his armor at all. There's nothing there's nothing you could say that's wrong with him. And he's just a very impressive player. It's interesting that he reclassified this year to be in 2013. He was supposed to be in 2014. I think he was a top 4 or 5 guy in that class. Reclassified as number 7 guy according to Rivals. But yeah, like as you said, I think we didn't see the best of him when we saw him in Indianapolis. He was just coming off of obviously, from what everybody said, a very outstanding performance at LeBron camp in Vegas. And by that point, I think he got in at like 3 o'clock in the morning or something insane and played a game at 9, and just wasn't the same the entire week. But you see the explosion there. You see just he's gonna be a guy that could just do everything for you. Pete Hutchins, his coach at New Hampton, just kind of said that one of the things that attracted Vonleh there was the development of Christian Watford, and I think he gives you everything that you get from Watford, and nothing that everything that you like about Watford and nothing that you don't like about Watford. I guess there's none of the the notion of playing with that high level of intensity all the time. Vonleh, that's not so much of an issue for him. While as Watford, that's been kind of the that has been the project with Watford is over time just forcing him to play that hard and that well, use all his skills, use all his talent every day in every game. And Vonleh, you don't have that issue. And I think, it's amazing what's become, I guess, of this 2013 class now. Initially, we were looking at it and say, well, there's a bunch of role players here. There's some guys that can do some things, but there's not a star. There's not something that's sort of there's not a headliner, there's not a marquee guy, and I think with Vonleh now there's very much a marquee guy.
One of arguably a couple of marquee guys.
Yeah, now there is. I mean, we add Troy Williams into it. I mean, way back when it was started, when it was Hartman and Davis, you're like, okay, some role player guys. Luke Fisher is a very, very, very good player, but you're like, okay, like we'll see how he develops. He's a guy that's right around that 140 range or something like that. They're like, he's got potential to be really good. Is he gonna be able to put on the weight? What's he gonna be like physically? But then you get Robinson, who I think everybody looks at as a very solid, top 40 player. Same deal with Troy Williams, is apparently just a beast athletically, and now Vonleh is the guy that really kind of puts it all together.
Yeah, now you've gotten from guys that how are they going to work into the mix to some guys that are definitely going to be in the mix.
Yeah, that you're not going to be able to not play.
And I guess that's kind of the other interesting thing about Vonleh is the lineup options that he could potentially bring. Granted, Cody may well be gone by the time he gets here, but you're still looking at you could play him at a 3 and have Hunter Perea and Peter Jerkin or Luke Fisher at a 5.
Yeah.
Have him go with a big lineup, or you could play him at the 4, or you could even play him at the 5 and go with a smaller lineup. So
yeah, no, there's a lot of options, and they're going to have, depending on who goes, who stays. I mean, you don't know what the NBA prospects are going to be for these guys going forward, and really kind of pitching it forward to 2014 and 2015, and when those things are kind of going to open up. But there's going to be just a ton of talent at that wing sort of 3-4 area, where you're going to have Hollowell and Williams and Vonleh and Perea, like kind of in those two spots, and there's and more really. And Devin Davis and just like all those guys, there's just going to be a lot of talent, conglomerated there. It's just really impressive group at this point.
Yeah, pretty much gets to the point where you got plenty of 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, whatever. A lot of mixing and matching there. I guess the only hole by that point is what happens at point guard.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing that they they haven't really kind of addressed. I mean, I think we always thought that 2013 was going to be a point guard class, that they were going to make a point to go get one. Remy Abel, obviously, they're obviously saying that we're going to be able to rely on him for the future, obviously, because obviously Jordan Hulls graduates after this year. Obviously Yogi is going to be the point guard going forward, but you don't really have that obvious backup that can spell him for a few minutes. But obviously they're saying we're going to be able to rely on Remy to do that. Maybe James Blackman in 2014 or something like that. I think Stan Robinson can handle it a little bit. All of those guys can kind of take over for a little bit. There's not a true point guard after, a point guard only type of guy after Yogi, but, I imagine they'll probably look for that the following class, and maybe to get somebody to pair along with James Blackman in that 2014 class. Of course, now there's this whole thing of figuring out scholarships, I know I get this all the time for bringing this up, but they got a lot of guys signed up for next year. I think, what are we at now?
I believe we're up to 6.
Yeah, no, 6 in the class. So 6 in the class plus 4 in the 12 class is 10. 3 in the 11 class is, yeah.
That's your 13.
There's your 13 right there. And plus you still got Mo Creek. And more. I don't know. I mean, there's just a lot of... There's a lot of guys around at this point. We got 2010, plus actually Mo Creek and Vic and Will. So you got to think, so you're at 16? 16 players are signed up for next year now? So 3 guys got to find somewhere to go. Maybe some of those guys will be the NBA. Maybe somebody will be going someplace else. Who knows? It's going to be really interesting to see how they're going to do this. I mean, our question is, there is a signing rule. You can only be oversigned by one. Unless you have some kind of plan that says, well, this is why these scholarships are going to be open. And I'm going to be interested to see how they do this. And we're talking not even next week, we're talking Wednesday.
Yeah.
Is signing day. So I don't know exactly what can open up between now and then. But as far as the way I read the rule, I mean, I don't know if there's something else, there's another loophole that I'm missing. I don't think they can sign more than 4 of them.
Right.
At this point.
And I guess Vonleh was originally going to sign in the spring, so maybe that's still his plan.
Yeah, and sort of wait until it shakes out, but they want him committed, So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. I mean, I don't get into the idea of throwing out names. Obviously, there's the possibility of, I don't even know if you call it a likelihood. I mean, Cody Zeller, it does not seem to be in a rush to leave, but it's obviously they're recruiting as though he's going to be gone. Again, he seems to enjoy college. He seems to like where he's at. Doesn't seem to be running out the door. But they've got guys to, fill in for him if he does, basically, and I don't know what they're going to do if he doesn't. And then after that, it's, maybe Victor Oladipo, maybe Yogi Ferrell goes absolutely crazy as a freshman and, it gets himself in that mix, who knows. Maybe Will Sheehy goes crazy, who knows. And then after that, we don't like to throw around transfers names at this point because that's, kind of unfair to the kids, really unfair to the kids, actually. But I don't know. I still don't know how they're going to solve this, but you can tell you that they're going to have a ton of talent. And I'm not sure what they're going to do with all of it, but they're going to have a lot of it.
Well, I guess, they've got time to figure it out.
They do. They do have some time.
Even though signing day is Wednesday, obviously that doesn't
preclude everything. I mean, they can just say, hey, guys, can you just wait, stay committed. Don't, we can't give you a piece of paper yet, but, you're coming.
And if there's some nets cut down and maybe a trophy come next April, then that
changes the thing. Yeah, that changes the dynamics significantly. You don't know, but I mean, one word. If this says anything, obviously, the change in the profile of this program, as recruiting wise, is substantial. I mean, they obviously gotten great players before this, but they were almost all in state and local guys. I mean, this more than anything cements that Tom Crean is recruiting nationally and getting big guys nationally. I mean, Troy Williams pretty much cemented that already, but this takes that to another level. As a guy that everybody really wanted. There wasn't anybody from any corner of the state, corner of the country that didn't want Noah Vonleh, and Tom Crean went out to New England and got him.
Yeah, they've gone from nailing down the nationally coveted local guys to now they're just getting the nationally
coveted guys. Yeah, I mean it is at the point now where it's amazing how fast you can say this. They can now recruit with absolutely anybody. Yep. So, anyway, thanks guys.